that negative cognition where we just go, gunshot, danger, just instantly. Now, maybe if I'm in downtown Philadelphia or something, and I know, okay, that doesn't belong here, there could possibly, but you could also go, oh, maybe somebody needs some help. Maybe I should go look into this. Hey, good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Zane.
I can't tell you, I'm so excited. This is such a powerful thought that we're going to have today. And I'm really excited about getting it out there.
Awesome.
When we look at stimuli, things that come into our lives and things that we have to make decisions on, we don't realize a lot of times that without even really thinking, we'll have kind of a response to it. Okay, so we have a learned response that it just come from experience, and it'll happen in a way that we might not even think about it. We'll just kind of respond. We'll have a response to a stimulus. And the concept I want to talk about today is called cognitive reappraisal. Okay, so obviously break it down. Cognitive means mental activity, thought processes. And so a reappraisal means you're going to stop and look at it hopefully in a different way or think about it differently. So cognitive reappraisal in psychology is taking what would normally be a negative stimulus and turning it around, finding some way to make it positive. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, that's just positive thinking. That's not positive. The positive thinking means you're trying to be positive about everything, no matter what the stimulus is. Could be negative, could be positive. Cognitive reappraisal means that you're actually stopping and thinking about it. And maybe for a very short period of time, maybe it takes actually some thought process to bring yourself around and find something positive and turn that negative stimulus into not necessarily a positive, but just not continue to be a negative. Okay? An example might be as simple as, well, like I can be personal. My mom's in hospice care. My mom's 93 years old. Bless her heart. She's going to die soon. And, it's an emotional thing. It's stressful. It's difficult to watch my mother go through this. Okay? The negative stimulus, the normal response is, I'm going to miss my mom. I'm losing a lady that's been with me, obviously my whole life. And it's very emotional. It's hard. But if you stop and cognizant or cognitively reappraise and go, wait a minute, she's lived such a phenomenal life. She's such an amazing woman. She started the first kindergarten in our state. She taught, the four of us, my siblings and myself, an amazing way to live life. She gave us all these amazing things, and she's done so much positive in her life. That's the way I'm going to think of her. I'm not going to sit and grieve and think, I'm going to miss my mom so much. And so to reappraise that and make it take a very negative thing, losing a parent, and go, hey, she's lived a phenomenal life. She's 93 years old. She can't see well. She can't hear. She said she can't taste food. There's not a lot of good left, but she's had a phenomenal run. So take the positive and be happy with that and say, you know what? It's time for her to move on. It's time for her next, whatever. And we don't need to get into heaven or,
Sure.
afterlife or anything like that. But when we apply this to our lives, this isn't something that comes natural, by the way. And it's not something that I can just read an article about it and, okay, I've got it now, cognitive reappraisal. I'm going to do that the rest of my life. It's difficult to learn. It's difficult to put through. And we have to go through a system of understanding why we think the way we do initially, why we have the negative response. Like we talked a little bit. What if you heard a gun go off?
Oh, yeah. So this one in particular I thought was an astute point. If I heard a gun go off, I'd immediately, kind of crouch my head and look around and assess whether I need. Yeah, right. If I need to get, indoors or something. Yeah.
Call 911.
Yeah, right. It would be a scared response.
Yeah. But let's go through cognitive reappraisal and stop and look at, okay, could there be something positive about that? Well, maybe we're out in a field. We live in Idaho. Maybe someone's out target practice or shooting, or maybe we're close to a shooting range, or, there's a lot of different thoughts. And they don't even have to be what we would call congruent thoughts. They don't have to make sense right away. It's just we want to stop that negative, that negative cognition where we just go, gunshot, danger, just instantly. Now, maybe if I'm in downtown Philadelphia or something, and I know, okay, that doesn't belong here, there could possibly, but you could also go, oh, maybe somebody needs some help. Maybe I should go look into this. So,
right. And I actually, a personal example of this is I have certain people that might leave a message on my phone. And before looking at the message, I get worried that it's a bad message. Now, I've had to retrain myself and realize, listen, unless you have a reason to suspect it's bad, and if you have a reason to suspect it's bad, you've probably fixed this already. But unless you have a reason to suspect it's bad, why are you going through this experience of anxiety and then avoiding it and then all of these? It's like, no. You got to let that stuff go, man. Go at it with an open mind, because you don't have a reason to think something's bad. And if you do have a reason to think something's bad, you've likely already addressed it. Like, I don't let bad things just hang around in my life. And it is an eye opener for me about with a couple things like that really steered my thinking and my emotional state for no particular reason.
Yeah. And so when we apply it to different aspects, we're always talking finance. I help a lot of people with their wealth generation. When we talk about finance, someone comes in and says, I'm just not good with my money. I'm not a good saver. And I don't have a response for them, because I tell them, you're absolutely right. Looking at your past, you're absolutely right. And then they, kind of stop and open up a little bit and go, well, what are you going to do about it? And so that's when we start with cognitive reappraisal. We'll actually start with just cognitive appraisal. And that means we have to figure out why you are in the situation you're in. And then how can we change that into a positive rather than a negative? And the first response is almost always, well, I don't make enough money. Okay, let's appraise that. Have people become, well off or done well or even become wealthy on the same amount of money that you're making right now? And usually the answer is yes, unless it's somebody that's just getting started and they barely make, a living wage. But so we have to go through and appraise it and then look at a new way of doing it. And typically what I find is people have a negative connotation or negative stimulus to saving. Well, if I save money, I'm not going to have fun.
Right.
YOLO. Come on now. Right. My friends are all going out. My friends are going on vacation. My friends are doing that. Well, they just got a nice new car. Well, look at how well they dress. All these things. So there's a negative connotation instantly with saving. So where do we look at it? We work on reappraising their thought process. And again, this isn't something that happens overnight. This is a process, but we start getting the understanding that saving is fun. Saving is wonderful. Investing is even more fun. Like you said, it's fun to have money in the bank. It's fun to have money in your pocket. And so we reappraise the situation and change our thought process from negative to a positive. And it's not going to be something that happens overnight. You don't just go, listen, stop spending all your money and start saving it. Okay, we're done here. That's not what happens. We have to go through a system of working through, cognition, thought process, appraisal, and then reappraisal, and make this a positive thought process so that developing wealth and making investments is a positive. It's happy. It's fun. It's good to talk to people about, rather than thinking, what am I going to miss?
Right.
When we talk about fitness, I make no secrets. I get up at 5 a.m. and work out every morning. That doesn't mean when I feel good. That doesn't mean when I get a good night's sleep. That means 7 days a week. Now, I have people look at me and go, I'm just not a morning person. Okay, how do we reappraise that? My thought process is 5 o'clock's not early for me. I've turned it and said, well, there's people that get up at 3, there's people get up at 4. My way of thinking, I'm reappraising my thought process. I'm going, I'm getting an extra hour of sleep than that person that gets up at 4. Look at that. I sometimes, I wake up at whatever, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Sure. Instead of going, oh my God, I woke up, I'm not going to get a good night's sleep. I mean, it's become a practice now to where I stop and go, wow, I've got 3 more hours to sleep. That's amazing. And I've got 1 hour more than the guy that gets up at 4. I'm excited about getting up at 5 rather than, the person says, I'm just not a morning person. So does that make sense? We're reappraising, and we're taking what could be a negative and changing our thought process to where it's a positive.
Right. And the emphasis here especially is you're not focusing on the stimulus. Like the clock is no different for the person who says, oh, that's too early, and the person who says, oh, that's too late. Like the stimulus, the situation we find ourselves in that we're appraising, those things don't change. No. The emphasis is you are just going to look at it differently. You're going to find your financial example, right? Oh, I don't have money, but if I have money, I'm going to not have fun. It's like, well, how fun is it to have a full bank account? That's fun. Yeah. Right. I love the fact that I don't feel like my back's up against the wall. I love the fact that I know I have a long, long runway if something should go wrong. Those things make me happy. They give me joy. They give me comfort. Security. Right. All of these things are good. So do you want security and to know that your back is not up against the wall, or do you want to get trashed every weekend? And it's like, take out the drinking. Do you just want to have these lavish vacations or experiences that cost a dump truck of money, but now that you've exchanged your money for those experiences, the whole week you're worried about your financial state? Yeah. So again, it's like, look, you're not assessing both of these fairly, because you're assuming if you don't spend money, you're going to have a net negative of experience. That's the cognitive appraisal. That's the first. You're absolutely right. And then change it to, well, what's the positive sentiment that would come if you saved this money? How can I change this into a positive stimulus? Right. Like me walking, I told you this morning, doing a hike of mine, and I'm walking up the trail. Now, the negative could be, it's early in the morning, it's cold. It rained last night, so it's still kind of dewy and wet, and the trail's a little muddy. There's all kinds of negative stimulus. I'm stiff, I'm sore. I traveled this weekend. I just got back late last night, and here I am up walking in the dark. Right. Okay, how do I reappraise that? And again, this is a practice that I've done for many, many years, so it just naturally comes to me. And I'm not going to say this is a natural thing to do. This is a learned thing that we develop in our gatherings. And when I go speak with corporations and their executives, this is what we train them in order to help them better look and be better at their job and be better for the corporation. So I'm walking up the hill, and I'm thinking, man, I'm going to be so much looser, not stiff when I get done. I'm exercising. Look at this. All my joints are working right now. I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful I've got knees that work. I'm so grateful that I've got, muscles that move. I've got a heart that's working right now, and I'm breathing in air, and I'm feeling, and I'm reappraising what could be a negative situation where, negative stimuli could be like, man, this hill's steep. Sure is cold this morning. I'm out of breath. All these things that could be negative, and I'm reappraising them. And I'm not saying I'm some super, some superhuman. It's just, it's a way of living and reappraising a negative into a positive. So I just had, literally by the time I'm coming down the hill, I got to the top, I watched the sunrise. I'm coming down. I'm kind of actually, and this will sound funny, at 65 years old, I'm almost skipping because I'm excited for the day. I'm like, you know what? That knee that was bothering me when I woke up, it's not stiff anymore. Right. And I'm not breathing as hard as I was going up. And I'm excited because, I burned this many calories, took this many steps, I gained this much altitude, whatever. There's all these positive things that have come from it. They wouldn't have happened if I had stayed with my negative response to the stimulus. Okay, when we work with executives and about, like, perfect example, I had a bookkeeper, and I don't need to beat him up. He was a very loyal, very honest bookkeeper.
But my Lord, the guy just, for whatever reason, hated coming to work. All he could think about, all he'd tell me, I wish I was on a beach in Hawaii. I wish I had somebody just bringing me nonstop those drinks with weird little umbrellas in them.
Like a Mai Tai?
Yeah. He's like, I'd turn my phone off. I'd never answer my phone. I could just lay, I could get up at noon and I could go lay on the beach, and that would be the life. And I tried for months to get him to reappraise and talk to him about how positive working is, and how you can be of service to people, and how you can provide, good work, and how you can, it's going to provide for your future because you're making a paycheck that I happen to be writing to you. All these positive things never could get him.
That the pina colada, Mai Tai, whatever it is on a beach, that's great for a weekend. But that's like one ring of hell, to be trapped on a beach that just inebriated for like a year. Like, that's got to be one of the levels of hell. Compared to, okay, maybe you don't like this task, but you're needed every day in the world.
Yeah. That's
a difficult thing, but we have duties and responsibilities, and that's better than the beach prison.
Yeah, no, let's reappraise. Let's make this and I just could not get that turned. And I finally, called him in one day and I said, hey, it's time for us to part ways. Because it's not that you're not a good bookkeeper. It's not that you're not honest. You're loyal. You come in, but you complain every stinking day about being here and doing your job. I could not get him to, so I'm not saying that this is something easily done. This is something where in our gatherings, we do it in groups and we talk about this and we work it through. And we have to do, an afternoon, sometimes an entire day of exercises to learn how to become cognitively reappraising whenever we have negative stimulus. And it could be as simple as, some people say, they get up and they look outside and it's raining. It's going to be a crappy day. That's sure, that's a negative stimulus. Okay, what could we do? Oh, fantastic, it's raining. I can turn my sprinklers down. I don't have to water my lawn as much. Right. Everything's going to be green. It's going to help my flowers grow. Right. There's all these positive things that we can instantly go to as we reappraise from a negative stimulus, or we could just go right down that same negative road. And we all know people, like this. Or we can, we can also ignore it. And ignoring it doesn't work because that just allows the stimulus, allows the stress to continue to build until it blows up at some point.
Right.
But reappraising, and we can do it with, in sports, we can do it in our work, we can do it with our investing. So cognitive reappraisal is an amazing exercise or way to, when we look at successful people and go, my Lord, look at how they reappraise things. Look at how they look at things. I don't know who it was, if it was whoever, I don't want to get it wrong, the guy that invented the light bulb or whatever. And they said, hey, you tried 467 ways. You failed 467 times until you finally got the light bulb to light up. And his response was, no. Each one of those was a success because I learned what didn't work. That's a classic reappraisal. He took I don't know what the number was, 467 failures in most people's eyes, and said, no, that was 467 positive successes because I learned what didn't work and I got closer to a potential success. And you look at these, successful people across, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if they're a singer-songwriter or if they're an amazing inventor or whatever. These are people that have had negative stimulus and have figured out how to reappraise and go, you know what? I see this. This is the way most people might look at this. I actively, cognitively choose to look at this in a different manner. Instead of me getting up at 5 and going, going to be a long day. Man, I'm tired. I'm stiff. I'm sore. Could you really use a couple more hours of sleep? My reappraisal is, no, I already got an extra hour of sleep. I'm so happy I slept till 5 because I know people that get up at 4.
Yeah.
And, same thing with, I tell people I'm 65 years old. I have people that are my age and they're like, really? You still work out, huh? You still exercise. Oh, I quit that a long time ago. And I think, no, I've used cognitive reappraisal to go, I'm excited to get to the gym in the morning. I'm excited to get to the trailhead and hike in the morning. I can't wait to get up and go work out rather than going, it's another workout day.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, I don't know. I'm here. I'm shaking a little bit. I'm so excited because it's such a positive way. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have, you need somebody to help you, get it down and teach it to you. But it's not something where once we learn it, we don't have to, pay a subscription or anything. Right. It's something we can use the rest of our lives. And it can help us with our wealth generation. It can help us with any fitness or anything like that. It can help, in weight loss.
Right.
You can stop and look at it and go, I've tried everything. I can't lose weight. Okay, there's the negative stimulus. I just haven't discovered what's going to work for me. Or I'm excited because this. I'm going to look at the negative and go, wait a minute, let's reappraise the situation and go, I'm excited to get my heart less stress on it. I'm excited to get my A1C down. I'm excited to get my blood pressure lower. I'm excited to get back to being able to do recreational, whatever.
Right.
And so using this in everyday life across the board is such a powerful tool. And on my hike this morning, I just realized this comes so naturally to me, not because, again, I'm some super smart person. It's because I've done it for years and years and years. It started with me in my teenage years where I had it explained to me. Of course, my dad was a doctor of psychology that, told me about cognition and cognitive thinking. And he would tell me, this will be a little personal, but just my dad's, you'd have to know my dad. He was a different character, of course. He raised, I don't even know if I should say this. He raised collies. Okay. And man, I would come visit him, and walking up the sidewalk to his house, his sidewalks was fairly long. Here's a pile of dog poop right in the sidewalk. And I'm just like, Dad, I would kill that dog. Why can't it go out there in the backyard or something? What's my dad do? He says, that's the smartest dog around because it poops right where it's handy to pick it up. I'm sorry for the example, but that's the kind of life, that's the thought process as I was raised with. Yeah. Of course, him getting me up in the morning to go pick up 5 tons of hay or something out on the farm. And he'd say, listen, you slept until 5, you slept until 6, that kind of thing. But anyway, cognitive reappraisal is an amazing tool, just one more tool to put in our tool belts as we build a successful life, as we build this legacy life and build our wealth, build a generational family that stays together and loves each other. There's so many ways of taking a negative stimulus and looking at it with a reappraisal and deciding how we're going to respond.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Matt.